Alright, well welcome to my second upload of my last video in this series for the Great Guitar Build Off 2021. Some of you may have watched the first upload and I appreciate that, but it wasn't quite finished. There were some audio glitches as well as I didn't have a chance to do color correction, and those are things that I wanted to do, but I felt rushed to upload it because there were some inconsistencies with the Great Guitar Build Off Diary Dates website, which they were probably just a typo, but I want to show them on the screen. This is the reason why I rushed through it. This was the original diary dates that I thought I had until the end of June, and then on May 31st I checked and found this, which said it was due on May 31st, the day I was working on it. So I was like, alright, well, let's get this done. And then when I checked on June 1st, it said June 30th again. So it had been corrected. I'm grateful for that. And now I have a chance to upload it for a second time, do the color correction, and get these audio glitches that I had out of the way. So now, just want to highlight, I'm doing some fretwork here, protecting the body with a little bit of cardboard that I cut out to go around the neck. And we'll continue on with the build. Also, please stay tuned until the end. There's a special fun surprise for the audio demo. Here I'm going to use some fret erasers to take care of the ends of the frets on each side, make them a little smoother. I'll start with coarse, move on to medium, then fine, and then super fine. Gotta mask the fretboard off so I don't damage the fretboard at all. Then we've got our obligatory using a Sharpie to mark the frets before we level them. Using this method, you can see whether you have any high or low spots still after you start leveling. And we use a fret leveling file and start taking some of that off. And the goal is to keep going until you don't see any Sharpie anymore. But then what you have are flat frets, which are bad for intonation. So after you level, you have to crown them and round them over, which we'll get to. Also want to apologize again for the shaky camera. Really got to stabilize that before I get started. But here I'm kind of visually showing I intend to do a little bit of fall away on the frets, but I don't do it correctly. I guess on my previous upload, someone commented that you got to build up a little with some tape around the 12th to 15th fret, and that way what I'm trying to do is lower the upper frets in height. And again, we're just checking to see if everything's level. I misplaced my fret rocker, and so I was using that, which works pretty nicely. And I can't remember what that tool was actually from. And now I'm going to start crowning the frets. And so we take a Sharpie to all the frets again, and the goal is to use this file to create just a very thin line of Sharpie across the top, which we will eventually round over after this. You guys ready to see something? Notice I am not using any sort of tape or anything as a depth stop for this. I'm just drilling straight in. Not a worry in the world. Watch. Did I maybe go too far? Did I? I guess we'll find out. Let's find out. Oh, well now I have a depth stop. Wonder why I would have a depth stop now and not before. Why would I put it on halfway through? Let's get those screws in there. Nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. We're just continuing on. Oh, well, let's take another. Oh, what is that? Oh, it looks like I did go all the way through. Well, I've got a trick for that. So I plugged it with a toothpick, and you can kind of see it's already. The rest of the chip is blacked. Using this Sharpie, two favorite tools, Sharpie and toothpicks. Anyway, we'll just color that in, and then we'll use the super glue trick that we learned from the blemishes in the body. Although you will notice that I did have it at an angle, resting at an angle, so now I set it so that it was level, so that I wouldn't get any more glue in there. I also took out the hardware so that it wouldn't get stuck in there from the super glue, and we'll just use that super glue trick again. We'll scrape, get it nice and smooth. And then we'll move along to strip sanding. Remember, we don't go in the same direction twice. Very light pressure. 400, 800 grit. Go up to 1,000 apparently. 1.2, I think, yeah, 1,200 grit. And what I found through this process was going higher in grit dry sanding, the strip sanding, actually made the blemish less visible after I wet sanded at 2K than the other blemishes that I tried to cover. So we'll give it a nice polish and take another look at it. And there we are. It's fixed. You can kind of see a little bit of black from the Sharpie. It would have been better if I had a touch-up pen or used stain, but I panicked. I did what I could. I think I fixed it okay. Alright, so now I put a little... I cut the ends off another string and used those balls, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around here. And if you don't do this, what ends up happening is when you pull it all the way through... Now I'm coming in from the front side, or the pickup side rather. If you pull it all the way through and you lift up on that string and you don't use something to stop it, you end up with the wraparound at the end of the string, and that can kind of scrape up your hand a little bit. And now I'm just demonstrating my string winding technique, like anybody needs any instruction on this. And I do that using the ball of another string trick for all of these, because I just don't want the part where it wraps around at the bottom to scrape my hand at all, or anybody's hand really. And it's only necessary if you're going to wrap around the tailpiece like I'm doing here. Otherwise, you don't need to worry about that ball. You just go through the back and over the bridge like you normally would. So this is really fun. It's becoming a guitar now. And that's pretty cool. And I'll go into setup in a little bit. I didn't get any video of intonating it, setting the distance for the bridge saddles, that is. So here I'm just trying to set the neck adjustment so that I just have a tiny little bit of bow in the neck. And I have a setup sheet here that I got from, I think it was StewMac or a forum associated with StewMac, but these are Dan Earlywine's notes about setup for different guitars. And so I'm just using that to kind of measure the distance from the fret to the string at the 12th fret. And we'll do it again at the 1st fret. At the 12th fret, I'm going to either raise or lower the bridge a little bit. At the nut, I'm going to have to slot if I need it lower, and I do need it lower. You can see there it's kind of high. And this is just another one of those repetitive tasks where you measure, you slot a little bit, you measure again, see if it's where you want it. If it's not, a little more slotting. If it is, great, you're done. And we're just about there on the E string, the A string. I must admit, I have a hard time with this one, this particular task, simply because I hesitate to go too low with the nut in case I'm getting any fret buzz, which has happened in the past. And yes, each nut slotting file has a different width on it and are made for the specific string. And I like to play with 10 gauge strings, so those are the set of nut slotting files that I have. So now finally, once we're all done with this, we can get to the demo. And I'm really excited about the demo because when I demo guitars, I like to play the Who. I want to thank my friend Justin for the idea behind that joke. That was a prop. But here's the demo. And here we're on the middle pickup position, which is both mini humbuckers. Now the neck pickup. And now for the bridge pickup. And I figured, so that's the clean, I'd give you something heavy too, so you could see how that'd sound. So that was the bridge pickup. Now we'll switch to the middle. And finally, the neck pickup. That's going to wrap this build. I appreciate everyone watching, everyone commenting, all the questions I try to answer. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank Ben Crow and Crimson Guitars for starting this, for getting everyone to make such great content. Great opportunity to learn tons of different ways of doing all the stuff that's associated with making guitars and making guitars great. So there will be more in the future, more exciting builds coming up, so stay tuned. Thanks again.